Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy. I'm Glenn. I just want to say that last video went kind of long and I kind of got into a rant on the glamour ingredients. So tonight I'm going to try to be a little different and get right to the point. Tonight is what about this idea of no corn, wheat, or soy? If you're a pet food shopper, you see it everywhere. You probably believe it. Obviously, that's definitely something I have to make sure is in my food, that there's no corn, wheat, or soy. I am here to tell you just point blank, there's only one of two reasons why a pet food marketer would say that. You can see it sometimes on their websites. You will find lots of people repeating it in their videos, comparing products and telling you high quality foods versus low quality. And all of them will say that you definitely don't want corn, wheat, or soy. I'm here to tell you, again, there's two reasons why they would say that. Now, the people that are just have heard it and repeating it, I can't tell you, they're sincere. They're just saying what they've learned, okay? Why would a manufacturer who should know better, who knows nutrition, if they're making pet food, why would they say it? Well, one of two reasons. First reason is they're just not really that smart. They're really not a very good pet food manufacturer. They don't understand the value of corn, so they tell you, what do you see on their websites? Corn is a cheap filler with no nutritional value. I have seen that on many, many websites. So that's one reason, is they just are ignorant and don't know the value of corn. The other is they actually do know the value of corn. They actually have some nutritional value or some nutritional knowledge, but they're choosing to lie to you to help sell their product. And that's where the no corn, wheat, or soy comes from. There's no scientific reason. There's no nutritional reason. You could talk to actual board certified nutritionists, and they are out there if you seek them out, and they will tell you this is all just good marketing. And it's so effective that just about everybody out there, even if they have a major brand, they will have a version that contains no corn, wheat, or soy, just for you folks that have bought into that idea. At least I would give credit to food companies that say, if you choose a food with no corn, wheat, or soy, well, here's our version. That to me is much more credible. Kind of still a cop-out, but I understand you've got to meet the demand of all the cultural changes that the marketers are throwing out there that catch on, like this one. So you have to make your own version of no corn, wheat, or soy. That's very different than a food company that says corn has no nutritional value and it's actually there just as a filler. Or if they say corn is a real high allergen, it causes allergies. Okay, now, so let's just go through the facts about corn. We'll take each one real quick, but corn is the big one that everybody talks about. Well, first of all, corn actually has lots of nutritional value, and that's why it's in the food, okay? First thing it does is it's a great secondary energy source. Now, the dietary fat, with all the calories, is definitely the primary energy source in a dog food, but carbohydrates would definitely be a secondary energy source. We really wouldn't want to use protein as the energy source. We do get energy from protein, but that's really putting the kidneys and liver at a lot of overtaxing them to break it down to turn it into fat to be used as energy. So we don't really want to use protein as an energy source. We want to use fat and we want to use carbohydrates. The other thing corn gives us is fiber. Now, most of us are supposed to get that 5 or 6% fiber in our diet to keep us regular and stool quality and GI health. Well, the same is true with your dog. Okay, so the outer shell of that kernel of corn, and I'll try to show a kernel up here, I think, that outer shell is the fiber source. If you take the whole corn kernel in corn and grind it up and cook it, that's where you get the general energy source from. Now, here's a really good point. Everybody talks about extrusion and overcooking, and it's been overcooked to the point that there's no nutrients left in it. We'll get into that when we talk about dry food and all the myths or lies about dry food. But the fact is, with starches and grains like corn, for it to be bioavailable, it has to be cooked at the right temperature. If it's overcooked, it loses nutrients. If it's undercooked, it's not bioavailable to the dog. This is not corn on the cob. So it has to be cooked precisely the right temperature for the right amount of time. That, of course, takes some expertise, which goes back to my talking about, what are the credentials of this food company that they know how to handle these ingredients and to get the best nutrients out of them. So corn has to be cooked correctly to be an energy source, to be a fiber source. Also, if you probably know this, but corn is also a protein source in dog food. Now, sometimes you'll see it listed as corn gluten meal. Now, gluten is the protein form of the grain, right? So if you took that kernel apart and looked in there, there's a little heart in there, if I can call it that. That's the protein source. Now, again, if you're a nutritionist, you know that I can take corn gluten meal, a plant-based protein, and guess what? It contains a certain amount of amino acids. Now, think back to school if you remember this. What's protein? Protein is amino acids. If I deliver the essential amino acids, the dog can take those and create all the others that they need, so they're getting a complete amino acid profile. Anybody that's a vegetarian, a human vegetarian, knows this, that they can combine protein sources, combine amino acids, and end up with more available protein than those of us that are eating our steak and hamburgers, okay? That's where corn gluten meal comes in. If it's needed in a diet where we need protein, but we can't use meat because kidney disease or for whatever reason, corn gluten meal, when you combine it with meat, you're able to actually improve the amino acid profile. Does that make sense? That's what nutrition is, not this bogus pet food marketing that corn is somehow terrible and dogs you never see a dog eating corn on the cob. Well, yeah, that's the same person that will tell me my dog's a wolf and I've never seen my dog take down a deer and eat it, okay? The fact is, science tells us that corn is a great carbohydrate, a great protein source. I'm not trying to compare it to meat. I'm not trying to replace meat with corn. I'm combining corn and the protein attributes it gives with meat to give me an even better amino acid profile than just using meat alone. And that's science. That's nutrition science. The last is corn provides fatty acids, especially linoleic acid. Great for skin and coat, great for all those fat-soluble vitamins that need fatty acids. That is all in corn, okay? So what do we have? Again, energy, fiber, protein, fatty acids. So when a pet food marketer tells you that corn is a cheap filler with no nutritional value, please don't believe them, please. When you hear a veterinarian get on videos and they talk about the fact that corn, the dog can't digest it, they're wrong. I'm not sure what their motivation is. Usually they're selling something, but the fact is they're wrong. And they need to talk to real nutritionists to find out that they're wrong. As a matter of fact, in 2013, there was a study done looking at the genome of modern dogs versus wolves, the DNA and the genetic makeup. And what did they find? And sure enough, I do hear people admit this that even don't like corn, that yes, modern dogs can handle and digest starches much better today than they could back when they were wolves or if we look at wolves. The genome is different. Your dog, I'm sorry, is not a wolf, but we'll get to that another day. But that's the deal with corn, okay? So please, the next time somebody tells you it's just a cheap filler, oh, and cheap. Okay, no. I don't want to use an ingredient that is, boy, about as American as apple pie, okay? Corn. Just drive across our country. There's tons of it. So guess what? It's not real expensive because we have so much of it. We make it right here at home, okay? Why would I say, no, I'm not going to use that cost-effective product or call it cheap. I need to use expensive, fancy, ancient grains that are no better, that don't offer any better nutrition or nutrients than the corn, but it's going to cost a hell of a lot more. And guess what? You, the consumer, are going to pay for it. And the pet food company has to make their profit. So guess what? You're going to pay a lot for that food. What did you get for it? Well, you didn't get corn. I hope you feel better, okay? Do you see why I get crazy over this stuff? Okay, let's talk about wheat real quick. Vitamins and minerals that we get from wheat. Yes, wheat has been adulterated. If you read in the Bible, wheat back then was very different than the wheat we have today. That's true with many grains. That's why all of a sudden this ancient grain kick is so cool. The fact is, when you look at the nutrients provided, if you actually look in a nutrition textbook, there's no difference, okay? It's just one's going to be more expensive and fancy, make you feel good, and the other one is just your standard grains that we have. Now, true, have they been adulterated and changed, and there's GMO and stuff like that? Hey, I don't like playing God. I think that whole GMO thing is scary. But if I look at it, is it really going to affect the health of my animal that's going to live 10 to 15 years, something like that? I don't see it. There's no research behind that yet. And there's plenty of GMO products that you're eating and you're feeding your family. So why are you getting so hung up on it with your dog? Okay, it just doesn't make sense. Now, wheat actually is an allergen. It's one of the few grains that is a high allergen for dogs that are prone to allergies. I will do a video just on allergies, but I guess I have to tell you, the main culprit for allergies is not grains. It's not the protein in the grain. It's protein, which is usually meat. If you look at the highest allergens, it's beef, it's chicken. Even lamb is going up the list. Corn, we mentioned just a minute ago. Corn is like non-existent. Talk to dermatology veterinarians, the specialists. Corn is not an allergen. It's only an allergen to pet food marketers trying to sell you that lie. It's just not true. Now with wheat, actually, you will see a higher incidence of wheat allergies because of the gluten in the wheat if the dog's allergic. But I will tell you that if you tell me your dog's allergic to wheat and you're feeding him a grain-free food full of chicken and lamb and all this other stuff, I don't think your dog has an allergy because he'd probably be allergic to those proteins. Does that make sense? To be allergic to gluten and not meat protein, that doesn't really add up, okay? I will tell you, there are plenty of food companies that use wheat. Why? Oh, but it's a high allergen. Well, so are peanuts when it comes to kids. Has Jiffy and Skippy and all those guys stopped selling peanut butter to our kids? My kids grew up on peanut butter. There's still plenty of kids that eat peanut butter. But yes, there are some where it can kill them. I understand that. So yes, there's an allergy issue there. But we didn't stop feeding peanut butter to our kids. Same way with wheat. There's no reason to stop feeding wheat to every normal dog out there if you want to put it in your diet for the nutrients it provides. But now all of a sudden wheat is terrible, okay? It's all just made up by pet food marketers, not pet food nutritionists, pet food marketers. Okay, and then soybean meal. That's terrible. Well, you know, the only thing I could find on, again, is, oh, it's GMO. Well, plenty of stuff is GMO. So let's drop that one. What else do you have? Oh, well, I did find one website that said that improperly processed soybean could lead to gastric, enteritis or something like that. Okay, the key word there is improperly processed. So I would imagine if you improperly process just about any ingredient, that would not be healthy. So that's the best the industry could come up with. No, again, it's just a real good example of the ignorance of pet food marketers. Actually, not their ignorance, they're pretty darn smart. They're telling you soybean is bad. It doesn't have the amino acids that meat has. It's not as digestible. Well, the fact is, again, just like I said about corn and corn gluten meal, if I take meat and look at the amino acid profile from meat and the digestibility, and I add soy along with that meat, guess what I just did? I just improved the amino acid profile. You know, I know we forgot that, but that was the idea of delivering optimal nutrients to the dog, not playing this ingredient game to make pet food marketers happy and more profitable. That's really what's going on with the no corn, wheat, or soy. Again, I don't mind a food company. I think probably every one of them has done it. They've made a no corn, wheat, or soy product. But the ones with credibility are not going to put on their website that, oh, corn is a cheap filler and soy is bad and wheat is bad. They're just saying, hey, if that's what you want because you got sucked into this marketing trick, just like a bunch of sheep, then here you go. And I'm sorry if that sounds offensive, and I don't mean to offend people that have bought into this baloney. It's just, it makes me angry that these pet food marketers are successful. Because what it does is it allows them to play this game of playing this ingredient game. Go back and watch my video, the ingredient game, and they get to ignore nutrition. So you're spending extra money of your hard-earned dollars on a product that probably, I'm going to bet, is not nutritionally sound for your pet. It's going to be an all life stage food. It's going to be a food that's twice the phosphorus and calcium because of the cheap ingredients they're feeding or adding in the diet that look really good on the ingredient panel because you don't know how to judge those ingredients. That's what makes me angry. So when I say we're all a bunch of sheep, that's what good marketing's for. I'm sure I'm the same way, a sucker with some other industries because, hey, that sounds good, that campaign sounds good, and I buy into it, and I'm a sucker, okay? And I don't want you to be a sucker. I know too much after 34 years of watching this game get played. Please, I'm not telling you what brand to feed, but I tell you one thing. If I saw a manufacturer telling me that corn, wheat, and soy were cheap fillers and were harmful for my pet couldn't digest them and all this other baloney, there is no way I would give them a cent of my money, knowing they either don't know better or they don't care about my animal. Well, everybody, if you made it through that whole video, I appreciate you watching. I know I get a little passionate about this stuff. I always have. It's been 34 years of sharing this information, and I still love doing it. So hopefully I didn't offend anybody. Please leave your comments. If you have friends that are confused about this issue, please share the video with them. Hit the subscribe button, that little bell, you know the deal. I really do appreciate those of you that stick with me and some of the comments I've gotten already, but this is one of those issues, besides the ingredient game, that drives me nuts. And I think this is kind of rolling right into, is my dog a wolf? So I think the next video, that's what we'll do. We'll dive into that marketing ploy that my little Havanese and Zuzu, my Bichon mix, that they are actually wolves and I should be feeding them that way. So we'll talk about that next time. I did finish my national park puzzle. I forgot to take a picture of it to prove it to you, but I am on to really cool puzzle that my wife got me, and it's really fitting for this channel, but it's a whole bunch of dogs on there. So I've already have the frame done and I'm going from there. So again, thank you for being with me. I hope this is beneficial, and please leave a comment. Even if you disagree, that's fine too. I'll try to be much more polite on personal comments than I am sometimes with this video. Thanks.